Welcome back, everybody. That was pretty short.
Yeah.
I felt like we barely warmed up in the cast here. We're going to go to herO versus herO next. Right now, ByuN easily defeating Rogue. Kind of a reminder of, the new times we're in. I think in a lot of other eras, I would have expected Rogue to pretty easily crush ByuN, right? It seems like it would have been quite a feat, but ByuN brought two very different Terran styles in here and made him work against a former world champion. Now we're going to go to herO versus herO. Now, herO is by far the biggest favorite in this group.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's got to be either herO or herO. Even though herO had to fight through the round of 12, I mean, this guy just it feels like GSL is just he's been gunning for that championship for so long, and it feels like some years the only player in the world who could stop him is Maru.
Right.
Like GSL round of 4, GSL round of 4, EWC 5th place. And if it's 4th place, like he's crazy, especially in TVP. But the thing about herO versus herO is that these guys, even though herO is one of these TVP masters, feels like herO kind of has his number. I feel like almost every single series that I watch between these guys, it goes to match point. If it's a best of 3, it's usually going to map 3. If it's a best of 5, it usually goes to map 5. And just my impression, this might not be what the statistics say, but it feels like herO usually gets the better of herO for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, herO has a very good handle on the Terrans in Korea. He's very good at this matchup with the players out here. But, herO can be very hot or cold.
Mm-hmm. He's a very snowbally player, it feels like. It's very feast or famine with herO. There are some seasons where it looks like he's reinventing the PvZ meta, and it looks like we might have a Protoss champion again. And there's other times where herO will play, and he just will not look like himself.
Yeah,
it'll almost look like he's like F2ing in moments where you should not be F2ing, and living up to the Protoss stereotypes.
herO has basically been an incredible condition. I think every year I've casted herO, he is a better version of himself than the year before, and I don't think this year is going to be any exception. So it should be a tough one here for herO. Anyways, guys, we're going to hop into this best of 3. Remember that the winner goes on to face ByuN in the winner's match. Our game's ready. Let's go. Okay, herO in the top right, and herO in the bottom left.
Ooh, a low ground pylon from herO.
Yeah.
He's doing a ByuN wall taste. He's going to have his tech labs there on the low ground.
Yeah, look at this. So he's going to have his gateway on the low ground.
I don't think I've ever seen herO in a cardigan, by the way. That is...
Yeah. With his pro jersey underneath
It's actually kind of hot today. I'm surprised he's wearing that to the studio.
Well, I think occasionally when it gets it's pretty hot outside, I found that a lot of people find it too air conditioned inside. And so it makes them cold.
Maybe, but something about, I don't know if it's the lights for where we're casting or if it's the fact that we're basically on the upper deck and heat rises, but it's toasty in here today. You're casting with your blazer off.
Yeah, well, I always cast my blazer off. I got to get my hands dirty, man. I roll up the sleeves. I turn my chair around like I'm a cool principal trying to connect with the students. So, some herO support here in the audience. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see herO back here playing. I want to see how strong he's going to look. I do think that herO is probably going to move out of this group really easily.
I would be surprised if herO did not advance in this group, but it is a very stacked group. And I mean, to go back to the previous series, ByuN looked good against Rogue. In the qualifiers, he also beat Maru 2-1. He beat Gumiho 2-1, so he's on fire. herO also in the qualifiers 2-0'd Raynor, 2-1 Cure, so he's looking good. It's tough. We get to the round of 8 in a GSL like this one, and it feels like, Cure probably is the favorite, but I could see a world where he just doesn't make it to the round of 4, as insane as that would be.
So, I mean, in this game, it's one player fast expanding, the other player one basing. So the Nexus will finish momentarily here. The command center starts now for Cure, so he wanted to get his tech up before he took another base.
Yeah.
Let's see if we're going to have a starport thrown down here.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
And this is basically telegraphed from just the second depot there on the wall in there for Protoss. If you're playing in a ladder game as Protoss, and assuming your Terran opponent knows what they're doing, and you see 2 depots like this and your probe can't get in, it's a 2-gas opening. There's a factory, there's a starport. Some shenanigans are going to happen. herO knows this. Otherwise, there would be a command center on the low ground. So for herO, I like him just kind of sacrificing this probe, just keeping it there, being annoying, making sure that units are coming out of that barracks, although Cure actually did cancel the Marines to get that Cyclone out a little bit faster. But yeah, herO should have on his radar that some kind of tech-based aggression or harassment play is gonna come in. And herO, it seems like via aggression of his own, is really gonna try and figure out what this is. And that probe, keep in mind, it was wailing on this depot the entire time. This depot might go down.
I mean, this is kind of crazy. This is not part of the plan to lose the depot early on. I think he basically thought he didn't have to repair that because the odds of the Protoss committing down to that would be so low, but he did run up there, he blew up the depot, and he didn't even run in.
Yeah, that's cute.
He ran right back out. The Reaper's here, he takes that out immediately.
That was actually some insane micro there from herO. It almost paid off. He tried to use the invulnerability frame of like the probe going into the assimilator and then pulling probes to kill the Reaper before it would snipe that probe down to save it. Didn't quite work out, but some flashy micro there from herO, trying something out, and now he's gonna find the Cyclone. Of course, he's just kind of losing a depth for free here, but just getting the information that there's a Cyclone on the map is nice. Now, I don't know if he's going to anticipate a Cloak Banshee follow-up to this. I feel like we usually don't see that. If it's going to be Cloak Banshee, oftentimes it's a Cloak Banshee pretty much right out of the gate. But there is a robo facility already underway here for herO, so.
It's drop and the Cloak Banshee, so there's going to be a lot of little technical attacks that are going to be coming out here from Cure. He's got at least one Stalker over here, but you know, one Stalker, this is just going to be a nice juicy target for Cure to try to take out. And he's going to clean that up no problem and probably turn his attention over here to the next Stalker. The medevac is at about half HP, but I don't know that these Stalkers can get over here to hit it just yet. Blink isn't done yet, by the way, so he's just going to leave these Marines over here, sacrifice them in order to get the Cyclone and the medevac back out.
Man, those poor Marines probably felt pretty betrayed by the Cyclone.
Yeah.
Just gets the medevac and boosts away, but herO did a good job of just recognizing, yeah, my Stalker is going to die. I'm just going to sack it and get like, what, 3-4 more hits on this medevac.
Hey, did he get an Observer, or did he go right into War Prism?
I think it's straight into Prism.
Okay, so, you know, if the Banshee comes across the map and starts to kill workers, it's going to be real bad for herO.
Yeah, I don't think he has a battery in either of these bases, and honestly, there's no reason for him to have a battery. Okay, wait. I think Blink's done. It is done. Okay, I just missed it there on the production tab. I thought it was a couple seconds away. These Stalkers going to trade pretty effectively here in the corner with these Marines. Ooh.
Yeah, just
a little
losing
bit shaky.
That one.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of damage on all those Stalkers. They're going to be a lot less effective now.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like any time that like you're dwindling away at the count of the bio ball of Terran, it's effective there for Stalkers. Obviously, losing 2 of them is a little bit sad, but I don't think herO's be kicking himself too much. My concern is we're going into Immortal production back at home, and I still think we only have like one observer on the map. So these Banshees coming cross map are going to have some room to get some damage done pretty soon, I'm thinking.
This is a nice amount of damage. 7 kills there, but here comes that Banshee. 2, in fact.
Yeah, and where's the observer? Okay, it's cross map.
Way far away.
I mean, we can recall it, but it can't be in 2 places at once.
Yep, he's going to pull this Banshee back away to safety. And now there's a counter push coming here. So when these Stalkers are in a position desperately trying to defend against these Banshees, then the push can come in here. This is double siege tank, so if he sieges up, he's going to be in a really good spot. The Banshee's going to come back into the main and try to kill off more SCVs over there. No doubt, I think this Nexus has to be canceled.
Yeah, I mean, it's already basically a half shield, so cancel is going to come in there from herO. He's lost 9 probes in total to those Banshees already. Still a little bit of a worker lead. Oh, no, herO.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it's okay. Those Marines are basically neutered. They don't have stim back yet.
Yeah. Goes to show you how long they can actually last there.
Yeah. All right, well, push now coming into the natural expansion here, and
you know,
oh man, that Cybernex core is right in the front, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge tech to lose. My God, he almost has that tank astray outside over here. He's going to take that out. That means no more Stalkers, no more other tech. The Colossus is out. Oh, no, my God.
All right, Blinks forward. He's going to get on top of the siege tanks. The Colossus does go down. Actually, isn't even any micro right there with the War Prism lifting up the Oh man, I feel like herO kind of fumbled this a little bit. I think that engagement could have gone a lot better. Oh, that's painful. And the Banshee in the main base.
Dude,
man, herO just overtaxed him
here. There's just so much going on. Our observer can barely keep up. We as casters can barely keep up.
herO clearly can also barely keep up. Yeah, herO just really pushing the throttle with all the harassment coming in and just hitting a perfect timing right there at the natural expansion. I feel like herO, he almost had enough pieces to handle that attack, but it was kind of a rare hiccup in control from him. I mean, the Colossus spawning basically right into 3 siege tanks of fire. It got decked. I mean, there was a battery there, I think, to recharge it a little bit, but it did not last very long. And then the Stalkers blinking on top of the siege tanks, a lot of them fell when they could have gotten shuffled back into the Warp Prism. But the reality of the situation there for herO is that there was so much happening, especially with the Banshee also in the main base, that he couldn't do everything all at once. herO was basically forcing him into this position where he's going to make errors. And now herO with one Hail Mary, basically a pure charge zealot army coming in.
Ooh, nice pickups.
Yeah.
He saves both of those tanks. That's insane. This attack in here is not going to do enough here. I like the Immortal drop up on the high ground. That's a great way to eliminate those tanks, but overall, it's going to be an easy game to survive there.
I mean, he was able to kill 15 SCVs,
True.
but the army supplies are just still insane here for herO. It's going to take so much for herO to basically reset into a position where he's able to be stable against the Terran, especially considering there's no third Nexus in sight. He's trying to get Dark Shrine right now. He's trying to go up into these plays where, you know, maybe he can force some arrows on Cure's side of things. But it's hard to see a path to victory here for herO that isn't Cure just getting completely blindsided by these Dark Templar. But keep in mind, Cure back at home, he's about to have a 3rd orbital command. There's going to be a lot of scans, and oh no, this Colossus.
GG.
Yeah, GG. That Colossus is very
Colossus
grateful
told
that
him to GG before he gets
He's
killed.
like, tap out now, tap out
Surrender,
now.
surrender.
I want to go back to Ire.
Yeah, please.
You can kind of see herO laughing to himself a little bit.
Well, that was you know, it's insane what Cure was able to set up there.
Yeah.
There were so many little attacks happening. He hit so many key parts of the both the infrastructure as well as the key tech units, like getting the Colossus the moment it popped out. That was a wild game, action-packed from the very start to the finish. Cure right now in a 1-0 lead. herO, I think he played fine, but then eventually Cure had enough tasks that he was forcing herO to juggle. He couldn't keep up.
I think it was just the Banshees coming in at that very odd delayed timing. Sometimes in these TVP situations where like a Banshee hits and it comes in way later, you're thinking, well, it's not as fast as it could be. It's probably not going to be able to get too much damage in.
But
the
turns
awkward
out to be
is
stronger
because
the
it's so
timing's
awkward.
weird. Yeah.
All right, guys. Cure leading the series 1-0. Let's go into game number 2.
Okay, Cure in the top left, herO in the bottom right.
I saw it early. Probin was wondering if we're going to have another low ground wall in there for herO, but no, Pylon in the main. And to go back really quickly to that previous game, actually, this is just a scout, right? We're not going to have anything crazy.
I mean, I would guess this is just a scout, but let's see.
I mean, it's
what
herO,
he does.
so I'm always.
he sends probes out to scout quite a decent amount.
Yeah.
Come over here and just make sure. I mean, it's the idea is like you're going to scout the inside of their base, and if you see barracks is here, that means there's no barracks in the middle of the map.
Right.
So.
Yeah, plus if it's going to be a 2-gas play like it was in the previous game, the second depot is not going to be that quick. You're going to be able to get into the main base.
Yeah, and just being able to monitor what's going on inside of here is worth losing a probe mining early on, giving up the extra resources, and especially once you get in their base, it forces an SCV to chase you, so then they're not mining, so it all evens out.
Yeah, but going back to that previous game, I felt like herO looked really good in the early game, and honestly, even pretty good after he got kneecapped basically by that push at the natural expansion. It was just the Banshees blindsiding him. Sometimes you're playing a game, and I'm sure basically all of us have been in this position where you're playing a game and things are going to plan, and it feels like you're on fire, right? Like herO did this really cute play where he was able to take down a depot over the course of like a minute with a probe and then an adept and stalker push. Like that's cute. That was really good value. That supply block Cure at a bad timing. he dealt with the Cyclone push not that badly. You know, he lost like I think 2 probes. He was able to damage the medevac. He cleaned up all the Marines that dropped. It wasn't the kind of damage Kier wanted. And then Kier just threw this wrench into his machine with this delayed double Banshee, both with Cloak, when herO had one observer cross map. And from there, everything was just derailed. And it's the kind of situation where, like, Kier, because he follows up with that, with a siege tank push so quickly, herO never was able to reset into the headspace where he could actually get a grip on the game again. And then we get into the situation where Kier, he's bouncing from the third base to the natural expansion with his push. Natural, extra exposed because the Siren X core is there. The tech is there, the robotics facility is there, the gateway is there. And things just kind of fall like dominoes so quickly. So I really don't expect this game to look anything like the previous game.
I mean, we're already in a very different tech. It's concussive shells right away. And, you know, we're just getting into that factory tech. A second barracks is going to be thrown down here as well. Here we have the Adept coming in here to try to poke.
Oh, man, look at the concussive going to force a recall.
Because, you know, once one of those concussive shells hits, there's no way to shade back out in time. So that forces a recall use there. You know, that recall is one of these, it's like another resource in the game, right? You don't have endless amounts of them, but when you use it, then it takes away an opportunity to do that, you know, in some other part of the game around this time. Yeah. So we've got a small Marauder push here, which I think is pretty cute.
Yeah, we have some very cute early games from both these guys. Yeah. In the early game in the Match 1, and now Kier coming in with 2 Marauders and a Marine in Match 2.
I guess the reality is, like, yeah, he's going to have Marauders, he's going to have Cyclones. I think he's going to kind of go for this snowball-y push out here.
There's no way herO's anticipating this. I mean, he does have a shield battery that's about to be done, but the funny thing is, it's also kind of hard to punish this with herO, which doesn't feel good, because you want to go with those Stalkers and just connect them on the Marauders, because you know they're faster, but at the same time, if like a Cyclone shows up or something like that, you don't want to lose all these units. And yeah, herO just going to warp into Sentry. I think he even energy charged to get this Elucidation Scout, because like, wait, you have 2 Marauders with concussive this early, and you're moving across the map. What really are you doing right now, Kier? And so he is going to get the scouting information. herO also posturing for a 3rd expansion back at home, as Blink is about halfway to completion. And it's a very interesting set of units that we have. I don't think there's a starport, so it's not the typical 2-on-1 we have coming in from Kier.
I mean, there's nothing to heal right now, which is very interesting, but this might pack enough punch that it, like, doesn't matter, you know? He might just have enough to basically destroy everything that the Protoss has and win the game in a very quick fashion. You know, a lot of, when you see like Medevac and Marines and Marauders, a lot of it's this like sustain ability where you sim and you kill stuff, and then if they're a little bit stronger, you run away and you kite and you kind of go back and forth, and over time you get ahead. But without any kind of starports here, I guess maybe the idea is you just sort of power through them.
Yeah, this is just like a pure... It's like a 4-gate for Terran almost. I know it's on 2 bases, but it really is like a timing attack centric thing, because you don't have the stims in the bank.
Right? I'm not
there's no starport.
Okay, yeah,
this is such a
I'm almost thinking
approach.
like, no, I must not be seeing this right.
But the fact is, there is going to be so much more firepower on the ground, and because this army is going to be anchored by the 3 siege tanks that are going to be rolling across. I mean, herO can chip away this. Okay, there's an SCV pull. So this is going to basically
be... This is a nod to this being even, you know, just that much of a kind of timing attack where you try to end the game. Now, he's going to send the Stalkers around and probably try to do damage in the main, and maybe, you know, this is like not a terrible idea. He might have to recall these back here.
I think he will recall. This is brilliant, actually, coming in. He's going to get the siege tank right here. There's no starport, so there's no fancy micro that Kier can do. And okay, now he sees all the SCVs. Oh, does he? Okay, he has just enough energy on that sentry to the full force field. These SCVs, they have been isolated from the rest of those army. Keep in mind, every stim for Kier is pure damage.
Right.
He cannot heal that back up, so he has to be very, very smart, very conservative with these stims. Otherwise, herO can basically just sack this base.
And this is really a push where Kier needs to end the game. When you pull SCVs like this, you're not trying to invest into a game later on. Nice sim.
The siege tanks, they unsiege. The probes get pulled. Guardian shield pops. herO pushing forward. This bio, it is not getting healed up. That means the Stalker damage, the Zealot damage is doing much, much better. herO, he's going to disengage now with these blinks. A second stim comes in from Kier. He needs to keep fighting because he doesn't have any sustain with his army anymore. There's no healing, and herO has just enough to clean it up. Really a creative build coming in from Kier, but it seemed like herO was just able to do enough chip damage with these Blink Stalkers and had a perfect engagement there at the 3rd base to stop this. Here now, he's going to try and transition. Now he's adding in 2 more barracks, but there still is no starport. He just needs units. I don't think he's going to have enough Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, this should be the killing blow now. I mean, he threw so many SCVs into trying to do that damage. And again, we never really see timing attacks without, you know, some kind of medevac, right? Something to, not even just to heal, but like, let's say to pick up a tank that could be targeted.
4 more barracks in production for Kira.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing about this army engagement is like, Kira basically can't stim unless there's Zealots on top of it because you can't stim against the Blink Stalkers. He's going to blink away, and then he just took a ton of damage for nothing. It's a very creative build from Kira. I love to see something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, right? Didn't seem to work out. herO's going to close this game out with a victory here. GG. herO tying this up 1-1.
You know, I'm gonna say there's got to be some. I'm looking at that build and that situation there against herO, and with the sample size of 1, I see why you don't do this very often. The 3 barracks, like instead of a 2-on-1, like just going 3 barracks and skipping the starport entirely. It didn't seem like it got a lot of value, but I'm wondering if this is like some kind of chess move that Kira is doing where he knows that herO sometimes cuts corners. Like maybe this is designed to kill a herO that goes for like a Phoenix or something, and Phoenix Colossus play really quickly, which is something that herO still mixes in occasionally. I think this is more of a metagame thing where us sitting as the casters, the viewers watching this, who aren't, you know, Kira and herO who are hitting themselves on ladder all the time, right?
Right.
We can't really see kind of like the 4D chess moves that are happening behind the
100%.
scenes. And so for us, it's just like this real weird, quirky thing like, huh, Kira's doing this build with no starport. This is kind of funny. It doesn't work, does it? But that's so cool. I love that because it just shows that there's so much happening beyond just the game.
Well, these guys know each other so well, like you said.
I love games like that.
We're going to game 3 here to conclude who's going to win this and go on to face off against ByuN. Okay, once again, a probe scout coming across the map here. And this is basically, again, to confirm there is no barracks sitting in the middle of the map.
Yeah. And I got to say, after that previous game, I'm pulling for Kira to advance from this group because I want to hear his winner's interview and I want the casters to ask about that. I'm so intrigued, man.
You know, it makes me think about the very early days of Wings of Liberty. We would see some players not make medevacs and just stim and send tanks and infantry in, and it didn't look right, you know, especially, you know, hindsight's 2020 where we see, no, the medevac is, you know, maybe one of the strongest units in the game because it can relocate armies and heal and pick stuff up. It's kind of a crazy hybrid unit that Blizzard made in the game, right? It both heals and lets you pick up. If you didn't have a medevac that could do that, the game would be entirely different in the way it would be played. But yeah, he elected to not go for that and instead to go for like an SCV pool with Marine Marauders, stim, and tanks. And you know, I think some of this came down to the fact that the force fields were laid down right at the entrance. You know, he did like buy enough time. Really, when you do an attack like that, you need to like kill the third immediately and then go to the natural and kill him there. And the fact that he was able to get a wall and just sort of buy time, that gave him like 2 more rounds of Stalkers to warp in, which might have been all he needed.
I've always had this perspective of PvT, which I'm not sure how much it's shared by a lot of other players, but just from my experience back when I used to compete, or even now, like when I just play casually on the ladder, where if I think about a PvT game, especially if it goes to like 3-base versus 3-base or 3-base, even against like a 2-base Terran, I feel about like the critical unit in that matchup from my perspective, playing a Blink Stalker style is the medevacs, because if there's enough medevac basically, which we see sometimes where like every Marine and Marauder basically has their own personal bodyguard in the sky just healing them up, then suddenly you need all these different forms of damage to actually fight the bio. You need Storm, you need well-upgraded Colossus with ground weapons, you need disruptors. Otherwise, you just cannot put a dent into it. And so for me, a lot of my PvT philosophy has always been about just keeping the starport units under control. That's why one of the scariest and strongest things that I think a Terran player could do in TVP, at least against me on the ladder, is when they go double starport, which was really popular in different eras of StarCraft 2, especially I think it was like Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. We saw a lot of, back when the Colossus was crazy, right? Yeah. We saw a lot of double starport play where you would crank
out
like
going Vikings too, and
like 6 or 8 medevacs and then just nothing but Vikings, and that was always the scariest thing. So I'm just tickled by these strategies where occasionally you see somebody like Kjær go for 3 barracks and a siege tank push, and it's like, huh, what are you cooking up here? Because Kjær, you're a lot smarter than me. I know this. There's a reason why you're doing this. It's just so intriguing. I love it so much.
It's kind of funny to see the Reaper run in and then run back out. I thought he might like try to force field it and trap it in or something. So we've got tanks coming down here. I don't think we're going to see Kjær for the rest of the season or next season do anything like what we saw in Game 2. I think that's a one-off strat. I think he's going to go right back into business as usual, TVP here. Infantry, tanks, just pushing, trying to do damage.
It could be the thing that you do against, like, if you win Game 1 in a series, or you're just up games in a series against a Protoss player who you know has a tendency to sometimes go Phoenix Colossus.
Yeah.
Then this is something you just whip out. Because it's like, well, if you go Phoenix Colossus, I probably kill you.
Yeah, you probably just die.
Huh.
So he's going to move out on the map. He's got his Cyclone along with a couple of Marines and tanks. He's going to have a medevac. I'm sorry, there's a medevac somewhere, right?
I believe so. I actually...
With this, where'd it go?
I've been musing over...
He made one. I don't know where it is now.
That's a good point.
Oh, I think it's following. I think it's on the mini-map. Okay.
I see it. Again, our monitors, we're casting on.
Yeah.
They're tiny up here.
Okay, so there's the medevac.
Oh, we have a force field, only one force field, I think, with an energy meter. Second one about to be ready, but...
He's going to siege this up. I mean, this is kind of scary. This just might be enough to force a cancel on the Nexus, which would be huge.
I love this.
Protoss are always supposed to get this 3rd Nexus up at this time. And there's no way he can save that. He cancels, he loses 100 minerals, and gets 300 minerals back with that. So that hurts. And I think from here, it looks like Kjær just wants to go for an escape strategy.
Yeah, you get the cancel on the 3rd base. That's basically what your goal is here with this push from Kjær.
By the way, he went out in a kind of inefficient way, knowing that maybe the Stalkers wouldn't be able to find him down here. Now he can regroup. I don't know, actually, that you want to try to fight out here. I think this might be a mistake here from herO.
I feel like with the Blink Stalkers, there's no way for Kjær to really punish you, right? Because it is just these units, but Kjær's going back to herO's side of the map. I think herO might have anticipated him trying to retreat back to the natural expansion. So now we have a really awkward situation where herO is entering the natural expansion of Terran, uncontested. Kjær going to see no 3rd Nexus, going to go right onto that wall there in the natural. herO probably going to have to recall those Stalkers back into the base. Cyclone barely surviving. Shield battery right here in the front. Kjær going to try and focus that down. Stalkers warping in, still no recall yet.
Yeah, he's got Stalkers back here. He's sieging up.
Okay.
A recall into the main. He should be able to just blink right on top of this and kill off every single tank.
Yeah, should be able to shot these, almost even one-shotting that one siege tank right there, but there's a lot of Marines.
He's doing a lot of damage, man. The Stalkers, they get in there and get the tanks, but they are eating up so much extra damage.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly who got the advantage from that.
Well,
I feel like it wasn't that bad there for Kjær, even though he did get cleaned up, but it's just kind of this awkward situation that we don't really find ourselves in very much, where Kjær just decided to move across map again. I feel like for Kjær, part of the problem is that I think that was a 1-1-1 push really fast with the siege tank and the medevac. And so there aren't a lot of bio units now to support the siege tanks, and herO's one of the best players in the world. It's like him and MaxPax, who are just the goats of blinking on top of siege tanks and bunkers, getting the kills, getting back out, and snowballing from here. And so because the bio ball is so low for Kjær, I mean, the SimCity right now, by the way, absolutely beautiful. This siege tank over here by the command center, even the engineering bay, making it so hard for herO to try and find any damage. He can't get that siege tank. It's really just the natural that's exposed. If Kjær had like a hole in the wall in there, in the main base, if his SimCity wasn't perfect, I feel like herO might just be able to completely decapitate him with that move. But instead, even though he basically just had one barracks for the first like 5 or 6 minutes of this game, Kjær just barely has enough to assist those siege tanks that he can't survive. That means that we're going to normalize here. herO, he's going into Storm, First Templar, already out on the field. He's taking his 3rd base, and we're going to go to a 3-base versus 3-base play where, if you open the game exactly at this moment, you probably wouldn't have expected. You couldn't read that all the chaos that happened in the early stages. It's actually quite even. Wait, is there no cloak?
I think there's no cloak. He would have definitely, triggered it there.
Wait, we had 3 Banshees with no cloak coming out from... Is that right?
Feels a little funny, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of insane to me.
By the way, Psystorm's almost done. I guess we'll see in a second here. Yeah, I mean, if he's not cloaking it now, then he doesn't have it.
I wonder if this goes back to Cure getting a little bit derailed with his build. Maybe these Banshees were originally...
Maybe he wanted to get cloak and he forgot it, but he has 3 Banshees. He has to use this anyways.
Where I'm thinking maybe the Banshees were just designed to be DPS with an army. Like they're going to fight with like the siege tanks and the Marines. I mean, one of the pleasures of casting... Oh, it's Storm Drops! I didn't know what was in that Templar! Templar in the War Prism. Oh, man. 7 SCVs going down.
I mean, herO's looking pretty good, man. He's at 125 supply. Cure is trying to play catch-up here. Cure on 2 bases, soon to be 3. He just lifted off his command center. But, like, he's just coming in here. Wow. Now he's got the Archon that's been morphed. He's going to kill off a couple more SCVs. It's now 11 kills.
I love that, too, because one of the things about these Storm Drops is they usually get a lot of SCVs in the red and only a couple of kills, just because of the way that the damage ticks in with the Storm. And so you come in with the Archon right there and just clean up a couple more SCVs. Oh, that's lovely. And now look at this.
I think maybe herO can just push out and actually take this fight at the 3rd base. This could just be a herO win here.
Wait, is that a max energy Templar in the War Prism right now? That is insane.
Yep.
He's been energy charging these Templar, I think, the entire time. He's going to have so many Storms.
Now, there are 2 Widow Mines.
Oh, this is a scary push coming in. All right, Cure scanning, and he's going to glimpse this army coming from the 12 o'clock position. I don't know if he can hold on. There's a lot of Storms in that War Prism, Tasteless. They're dropping right now. The connections are huge on the Marines. Massive Storms there. For herO, he's able to take down the siege tanks and then retreat.
This Immortal just on the far right for some reason is over there. It is picked off. Concussion Shells is about to finish. I don't know that he can break this spot over here. Mules have landed. Is herO going to circle around over here onto the side? Nice Psystorm again. He comes in.
I mean, the Psystorm did a lot of damage, but Cure actually split through it quite well, so...
Are we going to have another Warping round?
You know, Cure doesn't really have a lot. I don't think he has any more Storms left in the bank here.
He does have Colossi. I mean, he's got a lot. Okay, he's got another one coming up here.
All right, Guardian Shield popping. Oh, Archon's behind the Stalkers right now. Zealot's connecting. Oh, that's a huge Storm. Somehow he did have 1 more in the barrel. Oh, 2 more in the barrel. Okay, herO, I did not expect you to have that much firepower.
Yeah, herO's got this. GG.
Wow.
Crazy.
Where did those Templar even come from? I feel like I completely missed them. I was looking at the Gateway Army.
I think we got to get used to this whole energy, you know, boost ability here in the patch. It just feels so different.
That was sick from herO. Man, these games have been so unique and so scrappy. It's kind of hard to follow. Which
that was crazy. I mean, herO did a great job in that game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You know, Cure looked very strong in the first round. I think Cure really did kind of a throwaway strat in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes when you get these players that expect to win the whole thing, sometimes they don't want to bring out their best stuff against players they think they can just beat. But he definitely kind of made it impossible for himself in game 2. You know, just kind of not even playing up to the fundamentals of the matchup. He ends up losing that, and then in game 3, herO played solid, which means we've got herO versus ByuN coming up next, guys. We'll be right back.